Karen's $80,000 Mercedes blocked my wheelchair-bound father's dialysis transport €1, and this time, I knew her pristine SUV would vanish forever. She smirked through her kitchen window as the van honked, sipping her latte while my dad gasped for breath. That smile cost her everything: her car, her home, her freedom. And when her own husband discovered her crimes, that's when hell truly opened its gates. What would you do if your HOA president turned your life into a living hell? Drop your worst HOA nightmare below. I'm collecting stories for my lawyer. Where are you watching from? Texas, Florida? Because if you've got an HOA, you need to know the 3 laws I used to destroy Karen completely legally. Trust me, after 47 blocked driveways, revenge served ice-cold tastes even better than you imagine. Karen's $800 heels clicked toward our driveway on day 3. That ramp violates Article 12, she sneered, iPad gleaming. While Dad nearly cracked his skull on the stairs that night, I rebuilt it at dawn €1, only to find a $500 fine smelling of toner and entitlement. What I didn't know: her husband ran Stanton Construction, my biggest competitor. Let me paint you a picture of how this suburban war started. Because Karen Whitmore Stanton didn't just stumble into my life. She precision-targeted it like a heat-seeking missile aimed at happiness. My name's Marcus Castellano, 45, construction contractor who made the cosmic mistake of inheriting Grandma's house in Pine Valley Estates. Now, Grandma Rosa was a legend. Back in '92, she fought the HOA formation with the fury of 1,000 Italian mothers, calling it legalized extortion by bored fascists. God, I miss that woman's wisdom. 3 months ago, I moved in with my pregnant wife, Deborah, 8 months along and still teaching 4th grade because teachers are tougher than Navy SEALs. And my father, Anthony, a Vietnam vet who's been wheelchair-bound since a construction accident triggered old shrapnel wounds. This man built half of Phoenix with his bare hands before his spine gave out, and all he needed was a simple ramp to visit his grandkids. Enter Karen Whitmore Stanton, the human equivalent of a HOA violation notice. Technically legal, but morally bankrupt. This 5-foot tornado of suburban fury materialized beside my driveway, trailing enough perfume to violate the Geneva Convention. Her iPad case matched her coral cardigan, which matched her Mercedes, which matched her soul. Cold, white, and overpriced. My dad needs this ramp, I explained, watching her tap that screen like she was launching nuclear codes. The committee meets in 6 to 8 weeks, she smiled. The kind of smile that makes sharks nervous. I'm sure he can manage until then. That smile was my first warning. But here's what I didn't know yet about Karen. She wasn't just some bored housewife playing dictator. This woman was a real estate agent who turned our HOA into her personal lead generation machine. Her white Mercedes GLS 450, with its rules for me vanity plate serving as a mobile advertisement for her power. She lived in the McMansion directly across from me, a 6,000 square foot monument to bad taste with perfect sight lines to monitor my every code violation. Karen thought she was untouchable, protected by Robert's rules and her wine-drunk board members who voted in lockstep because she controlled their property values like a suburban puppet master. What Karen didn't realize was that she'd just declared war on the grandson of Rosa Castellano, the woman who once got a city councilman recalled for trying to zone her tomato garden as commercial agriculture. I'd inherited more than Grandma's ramshackle ranch house. I'd inherited her Sicilian temper, her file cabinet of neighborhood secrets, and her absolute intolerance for bullies in any form, especially those wearing coral cardigans and too much white diamonds perfume. Game on, Karen. You just didn't know you'd already lost. 2 weeks later, Karen declared war on my livelihood with a smile sweeter than cyanide. I was loading my F-250 at dawn when she materialized beside me like Satan in beige polyester, iPad clutched like a weapon of mass destruction. Marcus, she cooed, her voice dripping fake concern. We need to discuss your commercial vehicle situation. The way she said commercial made it sound like hazardous waste. According to the emergency HOA meeting held while I was pouring concrete across town €1, funny how emergencies always happen when I'm gone €1, all commercial vehicles now required screening from Street View within 30 days. Daily fines, $100. My work truck, the one feeding my family and paying my mortgage, was apparently a visual terrorist attacking property values. "I'm sure you can make room in your garage," she suggested, knowing damn well it housed Dad's medical equipment and wheelchair van. But here's where Karen made her first mistake. The next morning revealed 3 Stanton construction trucks parked brazenly on our street, their commercial logos bigger than billboards, completely unmolested by HOA fines. Richard Stanton, Karen's husband, my biggest competitor who'd mysteriously won every municipal contract I'd bid on lately. The pieces clicked together like bullets into a chamber. She was using HOA rules to eliminate his competition. My real ammunition came from Ethel Morrison, 82 pounds of pure rebellion wrapped in a grandma disguise. She intercepted me in the parking lot, shoving a manila folder into my hands like we were spies trading secrets. "Your grandmother was my best friend," she whispered. "She knew this day would come. Article 15, sweetie. Read it tonight." The yellow documents revealed Grandma's genius, a grandfather clause protecting all pre-existing property uses from future HOA restrictions. Our property had run Rose's landscaping since 1973, making it mixed-use commercial, making my truck untouchable, making Karen's fines toilet paper. Legal knowledge nugget: pre-existing use rights override new HOA rules. Always demand to see original founding documents because your property's history is your best legal shield. One sentence can save you thousands. I posted Article 15 on my truck window, surrounded by photos of Grandma Rosa running her business, including one where she's flipping off the camera with magnificent Italian fury. When Karen's Mercedes crawled past that morning, I watched her face contort behind the tinted glass. She'd lost round one, but the way her hands gripped that steering wheel told me everything. This suburban dictator was about to get nuclear. Wounded Karens don't retreat. They reload. And my driveway was about to become her favorite target. Karen's revenge started at 5:47 a.m. on a Monday because apparently evil sets its alarm early. Her white Mercedes sat diagonally across my driveway like an $80,000 roadblock while she visited the neighbor whose house was darker than her soul. My 6:30 meeting with the Johnsons, a $40,000 bathroom remodel that would cover Dad's medical bills, was ticking closer while I waited for cops. They arrived at 6:25, just in time to watch Karen materialize with Oscar-worthy timing. "Oh, Marcus, I had no idea you needed to leave." Margaret had a plumbing emergency. Margaret had been in Florida for 3 weeks. I knew because I'd been collecting her mail, unlike some people who apparently steamed it open for fun. The missed meeting went to Stanton Construction, shocking absolutely nobody. But Karen was just getting started. Tuesday, she blocked my concrete delivery, costing me $500 in restocking fees. Wednesday, she trapped Dad's medical transport for 38 minutes. Thursday nearly broke me. Deborah, 9 months pregnant, stuck behind Karen's Mercedes while having contractions that turned out to be false labor induced by pure rage. Each time Karen moved moments before legal consequences, and Thursday, I spotted why, a police scanner app glowing on her phone between Pinterest and Wine Mom apps. The woman had weaponized suburban technology against us. But here's where Karen's arrogance cost her everything. Friday evening, Dad held up our water bill with the precision of examining enemy intelligence. The envelope was wrinkled and smudged. "Someone's reading our mail," he announced. "See the adhesive? Steamed and reglued." In Nam, we'd have shot spies for technique this sloppy. How do you prove a Karen's stalking you? You bait her. I planted a fake medical appointment letter in our mailbox. Next morning, hidden cameras caught her stealing €1, while her expired tags glinted in the sunrise. Federal mail theft, 5 years prison. And I had her. Weekend turned me into a suburban spy. Amazon delivered a magnetic GPS tracker that could survive anything short of nuclear war. I installed a hidden camera disguised as a landscape light €1, HOA approved, ironically €1, aimed at our mailbox. The trap, a fake appointment letter from Johnson Medical Group for Tuesday at 2 p.m., placed tantalizingly in the mailbox like cheese for a very entitled rat. Monday's footage was beautiful. Karen in her $300 yoga outfit photographing our mail at 6 a.m. before pocketing the medical decoy entirely. Tuesday at 1:45, her Mercedes blocked my driveway with the reliability of atomic decay. I let her marinate in her smugness for 20 minutes before approaching with my phone recording. "I need to leave for my appointment," I said sweetly. Her smirk could have curdled milk. "What appointment?" I held up an identical envelope. "The Johnson Medical Group 1, same as the one that vanished from my mailbox yesterday, the one currently sitting on your passenger seat between the Starbucks cups and HOA violation forms." Watching her face collapse was better than pay-per-view boxing. While she scrambled for excuses, I bent to attach my note to her bumper. Actually, the GPS tracker clicking home with the satisfaction of a loaded shotgun. "Drive safe, Karen." Expired tags are expensive, aren't they? That tracker became my window into Karen's criminal habits. Over the next week, it showed her Mercedes regularly in handicapped spaces, fire lanes, and at the DMV, where, thanks to beautiful public records, I discovered her license was suspended from last year's DUI. The woman citing us for violations was driving illegally everywhere like a health inspector with food poisoning. Karen's nuclear option detonated on a Tuesday morning when a white van marked Adult Protective Services pulled into my driveway. The social worker explained someone had reported serious concerns about an elderly veteran being neglected in unsafe conditions. Anonymous tip, of course, but I could smell Karen's perfume on this attack from across the street. Dad handled the inspection with military composure until they reached his medication questions. Then something cracked. "My boy takes better care of me than the VA ever did," he said, voice shaking, hands trembling. Not from age, but from fury mixed with flashback. That night, his PTSD nightmares returned for the first time in years. I heard him calling for his squad at 3 a.m., trapped in a jungle that existed only in memory and Karen's cruelty. 2 days later, Deborah called me from her classroom, sobbing so hard I could barely understand her. "Marcus, someone reported me to CPS. They said I was recklessly endangering our baby, driving dangerously." When CPS pulled Deborah from her classroom, interrogating her about endangering our baby, I found her subbing the euro, hyperventilating. Her blood pressure spiked so high the ER feared premature labor. Then hospital security handed me footage, Karen's Mercedes stalking her car like a predator. That's when I stopped playing defense. Hospital security pulled me aside and showed me footage from their parking garage. There was Karen's Mercedes following Deborah's car for 20 minutes, lurking like a designer-clad stalker. "You might want to file a restraining order," the security chief suggested. "This looks like harassment to me." But I had bigger plans than restraining orders. 3 phone calls revealed Karen's history. 5 different addresses in 10 years. Always leaving after neighborhood disputes. The pattern was clear as a blueprint. Karen was a serial neighborhood terrorist. Tommy from Elite Plumbing knew her from Scottsdale. She got the HOA president arrested for embezzlement, then took over. Year later, she was gone and 40 grand was missing from the HOA account. The real gold came from Ethel during our weekly intelligence exchange in the produce aisle. "Did you know our Karen owes the HOA $47,000? She whispered over the bananas. President exemption, she calls it. Hasn't paid dues in 8 years while fining everyone else for being a day late. Karen thought bankrupting me would end the war. She had no idea I'd just found subsection 47C. The breakthrough came at 2 a.m. on a sleepless Thursday while I was digging through HOA documents like a detective possessed. Buried in subsection 47C of our insurance policies, the kind of mind-numbing legalese designed to prevent anyone from reading it, I found the golden bullet that would end Karen's reign. According to the HOA's own automotive coverage policy, any vehicle on HOA common property could be towed if it met 3 criteria: blocking emergency access, unregistered or uninsured, or posing a safety hazard. The kicker? Karen's driveway, that concrete pad where her Mercedes sat like a throne, wasn't actually her property. A surveyor's error in 2003 had placed her driveway 6 feet into HOA common area. Karen had been illegally parking on community property for 15 years while fining others for infractions that didn't even exist. I called Rodrigo at dawn, my best friend since high school, who now owned Rodriguez Recovery, the most successful towing company in the county. Hermano, you awake? For you? Always. What's the target? When I explained the situation, his laugh was pure joy. The white Mercedes? The one whose owner called my truck's visual pollution at the city council meeting? Oh, this is destiny, brother. The beauty was in the simplicity. State law said vehicles with suspended registration on public property could be immediately impounded. HOA bylaws a euro, the ones Karen wrote herself a euro, stated the board president must enforce all regulations equally without exception. She'd created a legal bear trap and parked her own foot in it every single day. Mail theft, perjury, embezzlement. Karen documented every crime like a narcissist's diary. Our revolution started in my garage, which reeked of motor oil and righteous fury. Within a week, it became the unofficial headquarters of the anti-Karen resistance. The alliance grew faster than black mold in a negligent landlord's property. 12 households officially on board, with more joining daily once word spread through the neighborhood like wildfire. Ethel Morrison became our inside woman, maintaining her facade of harmless old lady while gathering intelligence like a geriatric James Bond. Karen trusts me because I bring her zucchini bread, she explained, eyes twinkling with mischief. She has no idea I've been recording every confession she makes about dealing with problem neighbors. The real coup was Mike Brennan, our mailman for 15 years, who'd watched Karen rifle through mail slots like a raccoon with a real estate license. Federal postal inspectors have been wanting a case like this, he told me. Mail theft by an HOA official? That's Christmas morning for those guys. My lawyer, Gary Jin, who'd done free consultation after Karen tried to fine him for his ethnically inappropriate koi pond, laid out our legal strategy with the precision of a military campaign. Death by 1,000 paper cuts, all perfectly legal. He'd already drafted 17 different motions, each one a torpedo aimed at Karen's hull. Dad turned our operation into a military exercise, complete with code names and synchronized watches. Operation Toe Freedom, he called it, sketching attack plans like he was back in tactical ops. His contribution was brilliant in its simplicity, a phone tree that could mobilize 40 witnesses within 10 minutes. 3 nights before the gala, we held our final strategy meeting. 43 people crammed into my garage, sharing stories that would horrify anyone who believed in basic decency. The Korean family she'd reported for suspicious gatherings, €1 family dinners. The black veteran she'd called the cops on for loitering, €1 checking his own mail. Every story strengthened our resolve. Remember, I addressed the group. Everything we do is legal, documented, and justified. We're not vigilantes. We're citizens enforcing our own bylaws when our president won't. Karen must have sensed danger the way animals smell earthquakes because 3 days before the gala, she launched a desperation offensive that would have impressed Patton. It started when I found my truck on blocks, all 4 tires slashed with surgical precision. The hidden camera in Deborah's old birdhouse captured everything in crystal clarity, including Karen's distinctive French manicure gripping the knife. She's escalating, Dad observed. Seen this in combat. When rats get cornered, they attack. Then came the anonymous blog called The Truth About Castellano Construction, complete with photoshopped images suggesting code violations that didn't exist. The blog was hosted on the HOA's official website server, a detail Karen apparently forgot while committing cyber defamation. She literally defamed me using HOA resources during official meetings, adding wire fraud to her growing collection of felonies. Thursday brought the cruelest blow yet. Marcus, someone called CPS again. Deborah sobbed from the elementary school. They pulled both kids out of class, interrogated them about our home life, asked if mommy and daddy ever hurt them. Our babies were terrified, asking why the lady wanted to know if daddy hit mommy. That's when something snapped in me, but it was a cold snap, the kind that creates diamonds from coal. Friday morning brought Karen's final, most vicious assault, a full-scale character assassination that would have made Stalin proud. The anonymous blog Pine Valley Truth had gone viral overnight, featuring photos of my father looking frail, twisted captions suggesting neglect, and fabricated testimonials from concerned neighbors. But Karen had made a fatal error in her rage. She'd included specific medical information about Dad's prescriptions that only someone who'd illegally accessed his mail would know. The blog post literally contained evidence of federal crimes while trying to frame me for state ones. By noon, 2 police officers arrived responding to a welfare check on my father. Behind them, I could see Karen's Mercedes parked across the street, her silhouette visible like a vulture waiting for carrion. Dad wheeled himself to the door with military precision. Officers, I'm Anthony Castellano, retired staff sergeant, Purple Heart recipient. The only violence here is against the truth. What happened next was pure karma. The older cop studied Dad's face, then broke into a grin. Tony? Tony Castellano? Holy hell, you saved my uncle's life in 71. Jimmy Morrison from the 25th Infantry. They embraced like long-lost brothers while Karen watched her falls report literally turn into a reunion. The afternoon brought intelligence from an unexpected source. Richard Stanton, Karen's husband, standing at my door looking like a man who discovered his wife was a serial killer. I'm done covering for her, he said, handing me a thumb drive. She's destroyed our finances, our reputation, our marriage. That drive has everything. The thumb drive was a prosecutor's treasure chest. Screenshots of HOA bank accounts showing transfers to Karen's personal shopping sprees. Emails planning coordinated harassment campaigns. Most damning, a spreadsheet tracking which neighbors to target based on race, religion, and military status, with notes like Mexicans bring property values down and too many Asians on Oak Street. She documented her own hate crimes with the efficiency of a Nazi accountant. Dr. Patel called an emergency gala meeting at 4 p.m. I've completed the forensic audit, he announced, projecting spreadsheets that made everyone gasp. Karen Whitmore Stanton has embezzled $247,000 over 8 years. Every transaction is traceable, documented, indisputable. As the meeting ended, Dad rolled up to me, eyes bright with military precision. Logistics update. Weather's perfect. No rain to interfere with cameras. Mike confirmed 3 news crews attending. Rodrigo's in position. He handed me a checklist with military efficiency. Oh, and son? Your grandmother would be proud. Rosa always said the best revenge is served legally with multiple witnesses. The Pine Valley Estate's annual gala kicked off at 7 p.m. in the community center, transformed with fairy lights and white tablecloths into Karen's personal throne room. 3 news crews mingled with 300 residents, there to cover what they thought was a fluff piece about community togetherness. They had no idea they were about to witness the most explosive HOA meeting in YouTube history. At 7:43, Karen's white Mercedes appeared like a shark fin cutting through dark water. She'd chosen the fire lane directly in front of the main entrance. Maximum visibility for her grand entrance. Maximum illegality for our purposes. As Karen toasted her community leadership at the gala, Rodrigo's tow truck idled 300 yards away. Her Mercedes sat illegally in the fire linea Euro, expired tags, suspended license, federal charges pending. Ready? Dad texted. 47 phones lifted. Carlos hooked her wheels as she bragged to News Camarasa Euro, then froze mid-sentence. She emerged from the Mercedes like she was walking a red carpet, wearing a $5,000 sequined dress that sparkled like her delusions of grandeur. Behind her, the Mercedes sat illegally parked, expired registration sticker visible, one tire actually touching the yellow fire lane paint. Inside, she worked the room with realtor precision, accepting compliments like a queen receiving tribute. The news cameras captured her holding court, completely oblivious to the revolution brewing in the parking lot. At 8:15, Dr. Patel took the microphone for the evening's special presentation. Karen preened in the front row, expecting praise. Instead, the projection screen lit up with HOA financial records that made the crowd gasp like they were watching a horror movie. Ladies and gentlemen, Dr. Patel announced with prosecutorial calm, I present 8 years of systematic embezzlement documenting $247,000 in stolen HOA funds. The screen showed receipts, Karen's Vegas trips charged as board retreats, her Mercedes payments as community vehicle maintenance, her wine collection as meeting refreshments. Karen's face went from smug to shocked to furious, her sequins trembling with rage. "This is illegal," she shrieked, jumping up so fast her wine glass shattered on the floor. That's when Ethel's text hit our phones. Showtime. Through the windows, Rodrigo's flatbed tow truck appeared like a chariot of justice, emergency lights painting the building red and blue. The crowd rushed to the windows, phones raised. As Carlos positioned the truck, Karen stood frozen, her brain struggling to process the reality unfolding outside. "That's my car," she screamed, shoving through the crowd in her designer heels. "You can't do this. I'm the president." She burst through the doors to find Carlos calmly attaching the wheel lift, every movement deliberate and legal. "Ma'am, this vehicle is illegally parked in a fire lane on HOA common property with expired registration. Per HOA Bylaws Section 47C and State Statute 28 to 4839, we are authorized to impound." The news crews followed the drama outside, cameras capturing Karen's meltdown in high definition. She grabbed Carlos's arm €1, assault on camera. She kicked the tow truck €1, property damage on camera. She screamed obscenities that would end any real estate career €1, broadcast quality audio. "I know people," she shrieked. "I'll have your business destroyed. You fucking spics don't know who you're messing with." The racial slur hung in the air like a fart in church. 300 people heard it. 3 news crews recorded it. The black reporter from Channel 7 turned to her cameraman. "Tell me you got that." He nodded, zooming in on Karen's face as she realized what she'd just done. But the universe saved the best for last. As Carlos finished securing the Mercedes, a white sedan with official plates pulled up. 2 figures emerged, a sheriff's deputy and a man in a suit holding federal credentials. "Karen Whitmore Stanton," the deputy called out, "we have a warrant for your arrest on charges of mail theft, wire fraud, and making false reports to Child Protective Services." The crowd gasped in unison, the sound of 300 people simultaneously achieving catharsis. Karen tried to run in her sequin dress and heels, making it exactly 4 steps before tripping on her own hubris and face-planting into the decorative bushes she'd fined the Johnsons for trimming incorrectly. "You have the right to remain silent," the deputy began as every phone streamed the Miranda rights to Facebook Live. "Marcus," she screamed, mascara streaming down her face like toxic rivers. "You did this. You destroyed everything." I stepped forward, Dad rolling beside me, and delivered the line I'd practiced for weeks. "No, Karen, you did this. We just made sure everyone saw it." As the Mercedes vanished on Rodrigo's flatbed, I heard Grandma Rosa's laugh in the wind. "Manja la pólvora, Karen. Eat dust." The crowd erupted in applause that drowned out her continued shrieking. As the deputy guided her into the patrol car, her husband Richard emerged from the crowd with a process server. "Karen, you're being served," he announced, handing divorce papers through the window. "And before you ask, yes, I'm keeping the house. Check the prenup clause about criminal convictions." The emergency HOA election happened right there in the community center, democracy rising from the ashes of Karen's empire. Ethel Morrison won by acclamation, and her first act as president was to motion for reversal of all fines issued in the past 8 years pending review. Just like that, $400,000 in predatory fines evaporated. Within a week, the story exploded beyond our wildest dreams. The footage of Karen's arrest hit 2.3 million views, spawning 1,000 memes and a warning to HOA tyrants nationwide. The federal prosecutor charged Karen with 47 counts, ranging from wire fraud to civil rights violations. The plea deal: 2 years federal prison, 3 years probation, and $300,000 in restitution. The transformation of Pine Valley Estates felt like watching a garden bloom after killing the weeds. Under Ethel's leadership, we instituted radical transparency. The Korean family planted a gorgeous cultural garden where Karen used to park illegally. The Patels hosted Diwali celebrations that lit up the whole neighborhood. Dad started a veteran support group that met weekly in the community center. My business didn't just recover, it exploded. Turns out being the guy who took down a corrupt HOA president was better marketing than any billboard. Deborah safely delivered our daughter Victoria Euro. Yes, we named her after our Victoria Euro, who entered the world with perfect timing 2 weeks after Karen entered federal custody. 6 months later, I received a letter that made everything worthwhile. It was from Karen's daughter, estranged for years after her mother had reported her Hispanic boyfriend to IC. "Thank you," she wrote. "My mother's arrest freed our whole family from her reign of terror. I'm in law school now studying housing discrimination law. The HOA scholarship helped me pay tuition." Ironic, right? We'd established the Rosa Castellano Memorial Scholarship using recovered HOA funds specifically for students fighting housing discrimination. Karen's stolen money now funded lawyers who'd prevent future Karens. Poetic justice at its finest. A year after the arrest, Pine Valley Estates threw its first annual Freedom from Tyranny Festival. The smell of barbecue replaced the stench of fear. Children played in bounce houses where Karen's Mercedes once blocked driveways. And neighbors actually talked to each other without checking for violations. What happened here should be taught in every civics class. We proved that ordinary citizens can stand up to corruption and win. As sunset painted the sky, I stood with Deborah and our kids watching our neighbors celebrate freedom from fear. Dad rolled up, baby Victoria on his lap, both wearing matching HOA Survivor t-shirts Ethel had made. "You know," he said, surveying the scene, "your grandmother would have loved this." Rosa always said the best revenge against bullies is a life well lived in spite of them. We'd won more than a battle against a corrupt HOA president. We'd built a community that looked out for each other, that celebrated differences instead of fighting them, that understood the true meaning of home values had nothing to do with property prices and everything to do with human dignity. Karen's reign ended in handcuffs and federal indictments a euro, but our real victory? Watching Pine Valley transform. Veterans rebuilding gardens the HOA tormented. Kids playing where Karen parked her tyranny. Your HOA horror story could be next. Share it below a euro because the best revenge against bullies? Turning their rules into their ruin. Every bylaw she wrote to oppress us became the weapon we used to defeat her. Every document she falsified became evidence. Every neighbor she terrorized became a witness. In the end, the very rules she worshipped became the chains that dragged her to federal prison. And that, my friends, is how you make a Karen's car and career disappear for good. Your home is your castle, but knowledge is your sword and shield. Thank you for tuning in to HOA Stories, where neighbors stand up against HOA Karens and karma comes knocking. If you liked this story, hit that like button, share your thoughts below, and subscribe for more HOA tales and real-life neighborhood drama each week.